Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's time to recap the latest episode of Teen Mom Family Reunion. As usual, I watched it on Philo, which is an online streaming service, kind of like the Netflix of reality TV, which features channels like MTV, TLC, OWN Network, Lifetime, you name it, they most likely have it. WeTV as well. So I do have an affiliate link in the description box if you want to sign up for Philo as well, a 7-day free trial to catch up on TMFR, Teen Mom Next Chapter, which is coming up soon, and many other shows like Love After Lockup as well, and 90 Day Fiancé. So let's get into what went down on this week's episode of TMFR. Taylor girl, she is down bad, begging Cory Wharton to marry her, and he's telling her that he's not going to do it until she meets one condition. Let's get into that and more, shall we? At the very beginning of the episode, we pick back up with the fight between Leah and Kaa, and honestly, I'm glad that Kaa called Leah out on being an annoying drunk because it was true. No one has to go to bed just because Leah could not handle her liquor. Like, that is so lame. She's like 30 something years old with multiple kids. Like, grow up at a certain point. So the next day, Leah blames all of their drama on the alcohol and takes no responsibility. It was a very dismissive non-apology, which obviously leaves Kaa upset. And I'm glad that everybody else sees that Leah is the problem in this situation. I was scared that Kaa would be blamed just because her reaction was a little bit more explosive, but thankfully these people were intelligent enough to see that, you know what, Leah was being annoying, and on top of that, the next day she refuses to take up accountability. She's just doing the classic, oh, I was so drunk, I can't remember, which I absolutely hate. Next up, we see McKenzie McKee running on the beach. She is training for a marathon. She never really was a runner. We know that she's a fitness girly through and through, but running is something that she took up in order to honor her mom, who was a big runner, while she was alive. And so she sees it as a bonding moment between the two of them. And I find that to be very special. I think that a lot of people who take up long distance running and marathons have like a really touching story behind it. A lot of these things are used to raise money and funds and awareness for certain illnesses and stuff like that people unfortunately succumb to. And, I know from dating someone here in France, that he took up running for his dad and to quit smoking. So he was a smoker before, and then he had to replace that addiction with an addiction for running. And then it's also something that he does to honor his father. He was telling me, he used to tell me that that's when he I don't know, he felt really close to his dad when he would run long distances. And so I always hear stories about that from people, when you see the parents running with the strollers and stuff, maybe they lost a partner who was the other parent to this child, or maybe they lost another child. There's always some kind of story, not always, but a lot of times there is a very touching story behind it. So it was really touching to hear McKenzie's story behind her reasons for taking up running. So she writes, I love you, mom, on the beach, and Caitlin decides to head on over and talk to her, and she mentions grieving her own mom even though her mom is alive, which I thought was a very interesting and nuanced topic that I feel like a lot of people can relate to as well. Kate and her mom have fallen out because her mom refuses to stop drinking, even though that is a huge personal boundary for Caitlin. And so she's learning to just, accept that her mom will never be, who she needs her to be. When she gets back home from her run, we find out that McKenzie and her emergency black boyfriend have a therapy session with the counselor next, and it turns out that he too is a divorcee. And I was quite shocked. It's kind of funny looking at the two of them because they're so young, right? And then the man, he's got braces and stuff, and he's talking about his divorce. I'm like, what? It's crazy to me. It really, really is. But I digress. So Josh told McKenzie that he never once loved her while they were going through their divorce. And honestly, I felt like that was super cold-blooded. Even if you feel that way, I don't think you should say that to somebody, especially somebody that you share 3 kids with. That's really, really harsh. That's really, really mean. And I feel bad for McKenzie that her mom kept on pushing her to stay in this toxic relationship. And she did all that. And for what at the end of the day? The man cheated relentlessly. And then it turns out he never loved her either. Oof, this sucks. Meanwhile, Casanio, the name of her emergency black boyfriend, is close with his ex, and they've got a much more positive relationship than McKenzie and her ex do have, which I think is nice. I think that is a good credit to him and his personality, and he does seem to be a very nice, mellow, positive person. When it comes to what it is that McKenzie loves about her relationship with him, she says that she loves that she can be herself with him, and that, when she was dating Josh, she was not allowed to dance and sing and stuff. He said that was whore behavior, and so she had to suppress herself. And now with her new man, she can let the music hit her soul, dance all night, and do whatever whatever it is that she wants. In fact, their first date was some sort of a dancing activity. So she's really happy to be able to do that at this point in her life. And she suffers from a sort of PTSD from Josh's frequent cheating that has turned her into a very jealous girlfriend. And that's something that she wants to work on. And so the therapist gives them a couple of exercises and a little bit of food for thought regarding that. Next, the crew minus Kate and Ty decided to go out partying in order to celebrate Jade's bachelorette. Kate and Ty aren't really into like getting sloppy drunk or anything like that, which I think is lovely for the two of them. And then at the bachelorette, we are reminded that Zach is a groomsman for Sean and Brianna is a bridesmaid for Jade. And so Zach gives a certain speech about how he loves Sean, appreciates Sean, and is honored to be part of his bridal party. And they start dancing and having a good time. There is like some sort of a cabaret show going on, like a burlesque show. And so that was really nice to see. I gotta say, I felt bad for Sean when he said that he doesn't really have too many friends now because of his past. And it just sucks, because for me, friendship is such a huge part of my life, especially being an expat. Like my friends are everything, so I can't imagine not having friends. So I felt really, really bad for him. And he seems to have genuinely grown and genuinely changed. And so I hope that he's able to make new friends in this new phase of his life. I'm glad he's got Zach, but Sean lives in the north, Zach lives in the south. He needs people local to him. So I really hope that that is something that he is able to gain in his new place in life. And in the spirit of speeches, Sean then gives a speech to Jade about how she was always with him through the ups and the downs and stuff. And I find it funny how it's always a woman putting up with a man through his hardcore downs and stuff. You rarely see a woman be thank you so much for being with me while I dogged you out, treated you like crap, had you be responsible for everything. It's always the man, and it's always women accepting it, which I find to be rather interesting. But I digress. His speech was beautiful, and I really do hope that he stays this way because he looks better and he acts a lot better. And so I really, really hope that this is the real deal and he does not revert to who he was in the past. Now, let's get to Leah. Honestly, she has not been looking good since she joined this show or this cast or whatever. She just looks very childish in my opinion. So she's just at a table with Kaya and they confront the beef that they had on their first night together. And she just looked like such an immature weirdo at the bar, refusing to give Kaya a real apology, then saying, "Don't be acting a fool." I was like, that is so patronizing and weird. What? Why would Kaya, she's like, "You can accept my apology or don't, but don't be acting like a fool." Girl. So weird. I don't like that. So they kind of leave it off there. Then remember, they've got burlesque dancing going on, and a burlesque dancer decided to get off the stage and test McKenzie's therapy lessons on jealousy by dancing all up and down her emergency black boyfriend. And guess what? McKenzie learned in therapy, and she didn't snap. She didn't threaten to kill this girl or anything like that. She just said, "You know what? Have your little fun. Have your fun." And then, that same girl, she's like, "Oh, you passed. Next level. Come up on stage and dance with me." And so McKenzie was wearing this pink wig that had her feeling herself, which is great. Again, she didn't really get to dance, and she got married and had kids super duper young. And she's still young. So I'm glad that she's still, at this point where she can enjoy these things, and she's with someone where she can enjoy these things with them and everything like that. So she dances and has a really, really good time. But then things go from fun, airy, positive to a little bit negative when everybody gets back home. Taylor tells us in her confessional that she's happy for Jade that she's getting married. Remember, they were just celebrating her bachelorette. But as they're coming home, she's a little bit jealous that she's not going through the same thing. She is not a bride. Whew. Lord. So all the group comes home and they're eating, and I love that. Eating when you come home drunk, you're yeah, let me get some food in my system. You know what I miss being my food of choice? Poutine. Oh la 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 la. The way we would go to, what is that place? Smokes. And just have a good poutine. My typical poutine was bacon. I love bacon. I love it in my, it's so good. Another place I really love is New York fries, but they're in malls. They don't really have standalone places, so you wouldn't be able to have it at 2-3 in the morning the way you would with Smokes Poutinerie. Oh, I cannot wait, guys. Only 1.5 months until I go back to Canada. I cannot stay away for this long again. It's been 2 years since I've been there, and I'm just missing, when I think of Canada, obviously family, friends, but food. I miss the good food. Obviously we've got food here too, but it's different. I miss the food that I grew up with, so I'm so excited for that. So yeah, they're all eating, having a good time. And so Taylor starts crying, well, not crying, but whining about Cory not marrying her. And then the group starts asking, like, yeah, Cory, what's the holdup? Y'all been together for 6 years. You own a home together. You've got like 2 kids together. She's taking care of your other child who's not her child. Like, what are you waiting for? And honestly, I don't feel bad for her. Like, don't date men like Cory if marriage is important to you. Like, problem solved. He has never wavered. He has always said the same thing from the very beginning, which is that he doesn't really value marriage that much. So if you value marriage, tell me this. Why would you get with someone who doesn't? Why? Like, there's no reason for it, other than you want to waste your own time, or you want to change somebody. Like, people don't really change that much, and if they do change, it's going to take a lot of convincing. And why convince someone of something? Like, do you feel good when you like finally like browbeat someone into like marrying you? Like, I don't think so. I feel like I would rather be with someone who wanted to from jump, like, I just don't get it. And then why have kids with them? It's like, I don't get it. Like, stop playing yourselves, ladies. Listen to men when they tell you who they are. Like, his perspective is perfectly fine. There are many women like him. For example, I've got a friend. She's been with her man for like the same amount of time, and they're never going to get married because guess what? My girl, she doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want to. So I feel like girls like that are perfect for guys like Cory. But girls like Taylor are better suited to men who value marriage and who want marriage, like. Anyway, so he starts saying, well, I know we've got all these things together, blah, blah, but like, I want you to improve as a person first before we get married. The way I would have snapped. Like, are you kidding me? Like, obviously everybody needs to improve as people. It's just something that you naturally do as the time progresses. So who is this man to tell this woman who, first of all, remember the first episode, she was crying because she's the one who does everything in their home. She's the one who's always like with the kids, super hands-on. She's the one who looks after the home. She looks after everything. This man is always away on these challenge trips or whatever the hell they are. And you're telling her, as she's at home raising your children, cleaning your house, that she needs to improve before you do her the honor of marrying her? That's crazy to me. It really, really is. And then even when he's home, is he even as hands-on with the kids, including his biological one that is not biologically related to her as she is? I don't think so, based on what they've said. He himself has said that she's the one who is the main parent to these children. And you're telling this girl who does it all that she needs to improve before you will marry her. You should be like the one begging her to marry you, based off what I'm hearing about you guys' relationship. And here's the thing, Cory is such an annoying, attention-starved person. Remember, like, that caused a breakdown for Taylor in the first episode. And then 2 episodes again, what did we see? This loser pissing in like the plant stand in the house. Like, a man who pees in plants in a home, a shared home, is telling me that I need to improve as a person before he'll marry me. Like, if I ever got to that point, like, I would be so embarrassed. Like, I am so embarrassed for you, Taylor. I really, really am. Like, who is this guy? Like, ew, the ick that I would have, like, just ridiculous. This man just doesn't want to. And it is what it is. I've got another friend like him. He wanted marriage with one girl. And I always tell him this. He wanted marriage with one girl because we're like really, really close. Like, we're like besties. And so he called me up. He was dating this girl for like 3-4 months. He's like, oh, I'm looking for a ring. I really want to propose to her. Like, he was ready. He's like 40 plus, right? And she was like 35 plus. And so I was like, oh, like, go for it. Why not? Like, do you need my help? Do you want me to come with you? Like, what do you want? What do you need? As a friend. And that didn't end up working out because that girl, she was psycho. And then he gets with this other girl, and she's much younger. And they've been together. What is with this 5-6 year mark? Because this is the same thing, maybe 6-7 years or something like that. And he's been talking about how he wants to eventually get married to this girl, but we're creeping up on a decade. There's still no plans in place. There's still always an excuse. Like, I feel like if the guy wants to, he will, because he would have married the other girl that he was dating before within months. But with this one, it's been several years. There's been several ultimatums, but it's still not happening. So you really have to like make sure you're with someone who wants to be with you. Make sure of that. Do not have kids with him if not, because then you lose all your marketing power, girl. Anyway, Taylor says that she feels like Cory's wasting her time. And then he says that they couldn't do it this year because of his daughter's health. But what about the year before? What about year 4? That still would have been appropriate. You guys are, at a good enough age for all of this. Like, what's happening? It's always an excuse. Next year's going to be like, well, you know what? I had a cold in March, and that threw everything off. Like, the cold lasted like a whole week. And so like, I would have like, proposed to you that week. Then I got the cold. So like, we're going to have to wait another year. Like, it's always going to be some BS excuse, just ridiculous. So anyway, guys, listen, I would rather choke on my sweaty gym sock than to have that desperate ass conversation in front of all of like my quote unquote friends and coworkers. Like after having 2 kids for this F boy, like that was so embarrassing for my girl. Like she is down bad, and like I said, he was always the same person. He always said the same thing. Marriage was not important to him, so should have listened. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of what went down on Teen Mom Family Reunion. Let me know what you thought about the episode. It was rather spicy. Like, I'm getting into this now. I really, really am. And I hope that you guys feel the same as well. So let me know what you thought in the comment section. Don't forget, I do have an affiliate link if you too would like to sign up for a 7-day free trial for Philo to watch TMFR and a bunch of other reality shows like 90 Day Fiancé, Love After Lockup, Love During Lockup, the Lifetime documentaries, etc. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.